Hey gang, Ross Brand here for LivestreamUniverse.com, and welcome to Livestream Stars. This is the show where we feature talented broadcasters delivering high-quality content across live stream platforms, and this is the season finale of Season 5 of Livestream Stars. We'll be taking some time off during the summer, but we definitely saved a great guest for the last show, and I'm so excited to introduce Jackie Miao. She's a live streaming polyglot chef who occasionally breaks into accents and songs. Jackie's life mission is to promote peace, love, and cultural understanding through the sharing of food, music, and languages. And Jackie goes by Dining Happy all across social media. She's a multicultural fusion chef, a social content producer, and a live video streamer. The first chef on Periscope to create a 360 live streaming cooking show. Her show, 360 Kitchen, has been seen by more than 2 million people and has helped her gain more than 20,000 organic followers across several social media platforms in 18 months. Also, for her work in social media, Jackie's been featured internationally on dozens of media outlets, including BBC, Discovery, NatGeoTV, Guardian, and New York Times. She was a speaker at Summit Live. She's considered a vintage matter in the internet years, as she's been blogging and webcamming since 1995. She's arguably one of the first bloggers and live streamers to hail from Malaysia, and we'll get into her background a little more as we go along. But welcome, Jackie. It's great to have you on the show. And as we were getting ready, anybody who's seen Jackie knows she has many, many different accents she does. And I was trying to remember what your real voice sounds like.
First of all, it's really I'm really glad to be here. Ross, thank you so much for having me on your show. You know, that's something that I kind of like struggle with, because I think because of my background, I've lived everywhere, and I have a very sort of like multicultural background. So sometimes it's hard for me to know what my real accent is like. I think I kind of adapt, you know, to who I'm speaking with.
So welcome, Zeph Zan. Zeph is from Malaysia. Also, Eduardo Guerra joining us. Great to see you both. Please do share this out. And if you're just joining us, do throw a comment in the chat. Let us know you're here. Say hello. And we'll be happy to take your questions for Jackie as well. We're going to talk about cooking and food, and we're going to have a good time. And also, of course, Jackie is an expert live streamer, so please do bring your questions about live streaming as well. And it's funny because I saw you on the panel at Summit Live with Leslie Nance and Mama Bear Alaska, and let's see, Andrea, the dabbling chef, was the moderator. Maybe I can't remember if there's somebody else on the panel, but you were just going along like very, very mellow, right? And you weren't in character at all. And it was sort of like, gosh, she's just so humble and down to earth. And then, like, towards the end, somebody asked you a question, and all of a sudden it became like comedy hour. And the last couple minutes were so funny.
Yeah, I remember the panel. It was pretty fun. It was great to be paired up with some wonderful people on live streaming. Leslie Nance, who just dropped in, yeah. Right? She's one of them, and she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And Andrea too. And it was just great to because these are people that I've spent time getting to know over the past year or so, and they're very invested in the live streaming platform, and also just what they do. We kind of have very similar interests in food and nutrition, and it's kind of hard, because I got into this because I was a bored housewife. A bored housewife needing some friends, right? And it's just been 18 months later, here we are, and we're hooked up with mics and like headphones and things. So this is all like a real great adventure. I think it's just I'm just really grateful. I'm grateful to have had, gone through this journey with the people that I've gone through it with. And yeah, just, happy to be here.
A lot of great people, including people here in our audience. Leslie Nance just joined us, as you mentioned. Mitch Jackson is here. Eduardo said, don't talk about food, please. Then he'll get hungry and need a snack. And Deanne, so glad you could join us. Sabrina Cadini, who is running things at Summit Live, is with us. So you're originally from Malaysia.
That's right.
Where else have you lived in getting this sort of international, global kind of diverse personality? I don't even know how to describe it, right? All right, let's just...
It's hard to label me.
Where did you pick up all these great accents? Too politically incorrect. Where did you pick up all these awesome accents?
Okay, I think to begin, I have to explain to you my background, just growing up in Malaysia. First of all, I think some of this comes from my father. So my father was a merchant navy who traveled around the world and worked for a British merchant navy shipping line. And so he's traveled around the world. And so my dad's kind of, he's a unique personality. And from there, he's also, because Malaysia is a former British colony. And so with that, everybody sort of like, kind of grows up knowing how to speak English, but, with a little bit of a Bornean lilt. I'm from Borneo. I'm from the island of Borneo. So there's that. And then my grandfather actually is, I'm trying my best to not like overwhelm you with like all this like different.
This is fascinating.
Things, but yeah. My grandfather was actually American, an American expat in Borneo. So there's a little bit of that, and then a little bit of my dad, and then I went to a school that featured a very international teaching. Just teachers were very international. From Sri Lanka, from New Zealand, from Australia, from the States. So it's just like I'm really all over the place because, like my English teacher is Kiwi. So, it's like for years, right, you're being taught by somebody who has a different accent. You pick some of that up. And then personally as well, I think I came to the States when I was 16 for college. Mm-hmm. So then I picked a little bit of that. So it's just, I try. See, the thing is the funny thing is I think I can do like a straight American accent if I wanted to, but I that is one accent that I've tried very hard not to get correctly. Because I think subconsciously I'm thinking like, okay, because it's just maybe like, more interesting to sound a little different. But then yes, after college, I went back to Asia. And then I stayed in Asia for about 5 years and then moved to London for 2 years, and then that's where I got like into the whole British accent thing because everybody talked like this. And
it seems like now what's interesting is when you're explaining like I could do an American accent, and then all of a sudden you're speaking English perfectly, like American English, like with no accent whatsoever, could be like the perfect Midwestern accent, right? But it seems like your favorite from watching your shows, your favorite is sounding like somebody who came from China about 2 generations ago, right? Like an 80 or an 89-year-old in Chinatown, New York or something. That seems like your favorite.
I know my show is not very politically correct. I sometimes I get some very hateful comments from people who struggle with their accent, right? Like people from that part of the world, and they're like, "You're a disgrace." But the thing is, I come with it, right? I kind of approach this, with a very fun attitude, and my intention is really not to ridicule, right? Any people group. It's more of like, I really am like celebrating diversity, and by doing all these things, like, and by kind of like, taking on the character of somebody from a certain part of the world, right? It amuses me, first of all, and secondly, it amuses other people. So I don't know, I just kept doing it.
Right. But yeah, I don't even know if your food, I don't know too much about cooking, so I have no idea whether your food is good or whether you know anything about cooking. I just watch for the comedy and the accents.
Yeah, I'm actually quite a serious chef. My family owned about 5 different eateries over the course of 10 years or so. And we're not in the restaurant business anymore, but I do have a background in setting up restaurants and cooking. I've been cooking since I was 12. I didn't go to culinary school, but the type of cooking that I do is it's very like a lot of home cooked food, and I learned from grandmothers and aunts, and I interview people and I try and get people's secret recipes in a roundabout way because I just really am very, very obsessed with excellence in the dining experience, because I think if I have a bad meal, I end up wanting to have a redemption meal, which is not good because then it's just more calories, right? So I try my best to make my meals as pleasurable as possible the first time around so that I don't need a redemption meal.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can find Jackie, of course, on social media at Dining Happy, and also her website is dininghappy.com. She's got a mailing list, dininghappy.com/members. So check that out. Join her mailing list. Get some insider tips, and you give out recipes as well.
I do, but I haven't gotten to a point where I've made it, sustainable yet. Mainly because, one of the things about cooking shows is that there's a lot of prep involved.
Right.
From recipe creation to shopping to prepping, and then to cooking, and then to cleaning, right? So there's just so much to do. And when I was based in Asia, it was easier because I had help. I had a domestic helper who was helping me. And so when you can sort of like outsource part of the tasks to somebody else, then you can cut everything down to half, right? But for me now, like I have a day job. This isn't... I actually have a day job, and with my day job and life's demands, and I'm involved in so many different sort of like a community types of things, and the cooking show. It's been a little challenging to try and get an organized system out where I can share a lot of recipes. But when I do share recipes, they're good recipes.
Yeah. Welcome, Barb. Welcome, Eric. Good to see you guys. Definitely share this out. Please let people know. I'm so excited to have Jackie on. If you don't know, she is the host of Dining Happy with Jackie, and she also hosts a 360 video show. Tell everybody about that and what you're doing with that.
Hi. So I just want to, I see some comments coming up. Am I answering them right away, or like you'll
No, what I'm doing, for those who may be new to Be Live TV, is I can take comments that people put in the chat and I can show them on the screen. Okay. So I'm just showing comments when new people join and when people have things. If it's a question,
Kind of.
I will put it on the screen, but I'll actually ask it to you.
Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Yes, 360.
Good, because I didn't remember the questions. You're going to come back and remember the question.
Yeah. So 360. Yeah. So I do a show called 360 Kitchen, and it is a cooking show that features my entire kitchen and my entire workspace, and I do it through a 360 camera, and yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like a very different sort of like experience because it's more immersive and it's interactive. People can kind of like move the viewpoint around to check things out, and so that's kind of what I've been doing. I took a little break though. I took a little break from 360 broadcasting to kind of regroup and re-strategize to see if that's going to be something that I want to move forward with, for the rest of the year. But I was doing 360 Kitchen for about 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you do 360, the video, I guess, from what I've seen on 360, I haven't watched a lot of 360, isn't always that easy to see, right? Like it's not the best quality yet. Is that challenging to like sort of get everything in in a certain place, or you just rely on people to scroll back, scroll around and see what they see?
Well, I think first of all, when you're doing 360, you kind of, there's a certain order to your house that you need to go, like, at least
yes.
The space that you're showing, right? You can't be like showing everything.
Right, so, that's the great thing about video. You can have like an entire mess, or you can have all private stuff, and only what the camera front, hits you in the front. That's it, right?
Yes.
And it looks like you're in a studio or you're in your home office, and then everything else could be chaos. You can be sitting in the middle of the street as long as you have a backdrop that looks like it's in a room, right? But
right, but not so.
Give away all the secrets.
Yes, 360, not so. So with 360, they see everything. They see your toes. They see everything. It's just kind of like, so you have to be very mindful. You're like, okay, I have to wear shoes because otherwise we're going to get like, some trolls that may say inappropriate things that, just kind of, yeah. So with 360, it's kind of like a very, you have to, approach it with a different mindset as well. It's more revealing of everything, right? And you can't control what people choose to spend their attention on too. That's the thing. But if you kind of like you approach it with a mindset that okay, I'm sharing what I'm sharing, and I trust that the audience will kind of follow my recommendation on what to look at during the time, yeah. But otherwise, it is a mind trip, yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody has questions for Jackie about live streaming 360 video or cooking food, wants to hear a certain accent, find out if she can do that, throw it in the chat, and we will definitely ask her. Easy for me to say. We would ask her. And so what I'm kind of wondering is, like, when you do your shows, right, do you have a schedule? Because I just kind of come across you when I come across you, and sometimes I'm watching the replay, but do you do a schedule on Periscope, or do you live stream like when it fits into your day and when you're kind of ready to do it?
So ideally, I would have a set schedule, but at the moment, I'm kind of shifting things around. For about a year, I did have a schedule, so I would scope, I think, like at 5:00 every evening, Pacific time, to make dinner, and then so that was kind of my schedule for a while. But I don't know about you, but man, that is not so sustainable. Like, after you've been doing that for a whole year, every single day at the same time, every day, right? You find out that there are times where, like at 5:00 on Wednesday night, right? Something else is going on and I can't show up. So I'm still kind of like figuring out, whether or not this is something that I can do like daily at a set specific time. But by and large, I try to keep to a schedule. Right now it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. Dinner time too. But before it was like every single day. Yeah.
It's difficult. I was doing, for a while, I was doing updates every single day, and you don't realize, like, it takes a lot out of you. Let's just put it that way, right? And so I'm going to be taking a break from hosting show. I mean, I have a few scheduled, but other than that, I'm not going to do weekly shows during the summer this year. For the first time, I'm going to take a break. So it's good. And when you get away from it too, you come up with new ways of looking at it and thinking things. You're not just like, okay, I got to recreate the parts to make sure I have the show, right? But you step back and you're like, wow, it'd be really cool if I did this. But you don't always have time to do that if you're doing a show every day or even sometimes weekly. It just becomes about like getting the next content out there.
Yeah, you end up being on this, what they call a content treadmill. So so that can be like really, really exhausting. And it's not just physical exhaustion I'm talking about. It's like, mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. There's all sorts, that come into play. And especially for me, because I get into character, right? I become like for a little while, I become totally British, right? And this goes on for like 30 minutes. And then the other 30 minutes, I'm like all Indian, right? So, it's just, it takes a lot out of you particularly when you get into like different characters and you switch from accent to accent, and you have to keep things interesting because people are rolling in and coming out, really, and they're leaving, and so to try and keep that energy at a high level over a long period of time and to be consistent and just kind of like on point all the time, every single day, at the same time every day. It's like, whoa. But saying that, it is very, very, it's been like an amazing experience for me. It's just the learning experience has been like immense for me. Yeah.
Did you ever do stand-up comedy?
No, I haven't, actually.
Have you ever thought about it?
I have. I just don't know. I don't know much about it, actually. Don't know much about stand-up comedy.
Right. So if anybody has questions for Jackie, please do throw them in the chat. If you have an accent you want to hear, a story you want her to tell about some different kind of food from around the world, Jackie is awesome. Dining Happy at Dining Happy is their social media handle, and it's dininghappy.com and dininghappy.com / members if you want to join the email list. Here we go. Let me use the feature on BeLive TV, dininghappy.com / members, and then I don't have to try and remember it. So, Jackie, what is your favorite recipe to make? Like, if you just could only make one recipe every day, what would it be if you had to just limit yourself to one thing?
Ooh, that is a very difficult one. I think everything that I do, revolves around variety. Everything, my background, just the fusion food, the Malaysian food that comes out, like a bowl of noodles would have Indian, Chinese, Malay, British influences all in it, right? So it's so difficult for me to kind of like pick a dish, a favorite dish that I can eat every single day. But if I had absolutely no choice, I've got to like stick to this one thing. I think it would be my French vinaigrette. And the reason for that is because it's so versatile. You make this base French vinaigrette and you can basically spice it up the way you want it. Like, I add some chopped basil, and it changes. Like if you add some curry powder, it changes. Or so I think just that, and you can kind of like just use it as like a sauce, right? In essence, right. It's a salad sauce. You can put it on chicken. You can put it on everything. So I think it would be that, the vinaigrette.
So Eduardo asks, what would you do for a menu if Mark Zuckerberg is watching your live stream?
Mark Zuckerberg? Okay. I think the first thing I do would be to find out what he likes.
The first thing you do is say, welcome to Periscope, Mark. Take a look.
Or I'll be saying, I'll be doing more Facebook Lives now that you're watching.
That's right.
Yeah. The first thing I do is ask him what he likes, or at least find out what are the things he likes in the profile, the taste profile in a dish that he likes. So if it's somebody who likes something very healthy, then I would look towards like making things that are more healthy. If he's more adventurous and he likes to maybe, live on the edge a little and try something a bit more like exotic, then I'd probably make like a laksa, a coconut, a seafood coconut noodle soup from Malaysia. So that's one of my favorite things to make for people, or something Vietnamese, because Vietnamese food is so complex in terms of its uses of herbs that are unknown to a lot of people, right? So it's not just the Thai basil, but it's other types of herbs like fish mint and perilla leaves, and things like the laksa leaves. They have all these different like Vietnamese names for them, but they just use so many different types of herbs that I think a lot of people haven't been exposed to. So that's something that if he were very, very adventurous, I would be like, okay, either a Vietnamese roll featuring some interesting herbs, or laksa, Malaysian laksa. Yeah.
I think Zeph Zan is in.
Yeah, hi, Zeph.
So I also want to give a quick shout out to Alfredo. Thanks for joining us. Sandra, Claudia, Santiago, Zakia. I think I saw Nick Rishwain here earlier. So thanks everybody for joining. Please do share this out. Let people know. And do bring the questions for Jackie Miao, the host of Dining Happy, and also a 360 cooking host. And so are you the first one to do a 360 cooking show?
Yes.
Wow.
I think I am. The first one. Yeah.
So I hope you don't mind me asking this question, but have you gotten approached by sponsors or companies or anything? Either like makers of 360 cameras, or just, in the food industry who, want to get their products and services in front of your audience?
Yeah, I've been approached by different brands, different companies, even apps. I've been approached by quite a lot of different people to kind of like promote their things, and people wanting to kind of set up a partnership to promote their products and to do sales. But I don't know though. Because here's the thing: I think like a lot of people on social media, they're hoping to that's kind of like something that most people strive towards, which is to land a sponsor, or to kind of like get these brands interested. But I have a very different view about that. Like because I think it's just like my experience as well. It's just I've worked with sponsors in the past for other things, not specifically on live streaming, and it is very energy taxing to be in to be in a mindset, a client, have a client services mindset all the time, and it really restricts your ability to be truly like creative and to be yourself. And I'm not saying that I'll never work with sponsors. I think that it's a matter of having being matched to the right brands.
Right.
And if the brands are not right for me, or I'm not right for the brand, then, that isn't the point. It's not about, for me at least, live streaming isn't only about like sponsorship opportunities. Yeah.
Right. Now, how did you go about building an audience? Did you just get on and do what you do and people found you, or did you have like a social media strategy or a way that you were marketing your show that brought in new people and made it easier for people to find you and that kind of thing?
I think initially I didn't really have any sort of like planned strategy. Initially, it was really about like just checking things out, scouting around, seeing what other people are doing. And then really, I didn't really have this agenda of kind of growing my audience in a massive way or anything. When I first live stream, it really was about, oh, this is new. This is interesting. Let's try it out. And then you meet people, right? You meet people and then you form relationships with them. And then you have these sort of like, relationships that you build like with people. And and then you realize this is really, the human element to it. You can't, it's not really only about the numbers. It's people behind who are watching you, and you're forming sort of like you're serving them and you're helping them. And so initially I didn't really have like a plan, but as I kind of like got more serious into it, because I was investing so much time on the platform, I started to think about ways that I could improve my broadcasts. And when I started doing that, I realized that more and more people started following me. Yeah, so the quality of my content was sort of like directly influencing how many people were following me. So then I think that it just kind of like it very organically happened that way. So the better, like the more I try to create value, right, the more I serve more valuable content, then I found that my viewership grew.
Since we have a lot of live streamers here, what are some of the things that you did to improve the quality of your broadcasts or improve the quality of your content?
Okay. I think the very first thing I did was, and I'm gonna just give you a little bit of give you a bit of context here. When I first live streamed, I was very afraid to be myself, afraid to show who I was, because I was worried that the world was going to judge me, right, for every single imperfection that I had, be it a character flaw or like, maybe like a gap, on my teeth, like a gap on my teeth, or anything, right? You think about these things, right? It's like, oh, it's just like there's something wrong, like maybe my eyes are not like, symmetrical or something, like, oh, you think about things like that. But the first thing I did was to really, really like push that aside and say, okay, don't worry about all that stuff and just be yourself, right? And I think that when people see me and they say, oh, okay, you got, how did you gain all these followers? And I don't think it's a lot, but I think, for some people, it may be a lot. The first thing I did was just to, let my true self come out, like authenticity, like just be more authentic, or just like, okay, don't worry so much about what people think, just really be yourself, right? So that's the first thing I did. And then once I did that, I stopped worrying so much about trying to make everything perfect, or like to produce things in such a perfect way. And I could just like sort of totally be myself and let everything kind of like flow out of me. And then I started introducing some structure. Yeah. From how I greet people to how I close my broadcast and everything in between. But that is constantly going on. The improvement doesn't stop. I kind of apply a very like Japanese way of thinking, like a lean management principle, like
right.
little improvements all the time, and there's always something you can improve upon. So that's how I like continue to. Yeah.
So in your case, allowing yourself to be yourself meant allowing yourself to do other people's accents, right? It's sort of like Summit Live, right? You played it straight for like the first 45 minutes, and the last 15 minutes, Jackie came out.
Yeah. Well, I think if I truly just arrived right at the first minute and start doing it, I think it would just freak people out. But being myself meant that I stopped trying to just kind of like limit myself to one way of being, and just really like if I felt like I wanted to do accents, I allowed myself to do accents. Or like if I felt like I wanted to speak in a foreign language while I'm doing a predominantly English broadcast with mostly English speaking viewers, right? Mm-hmm. I allowed myself to say a few words that are, like in a foreign language. So I just gave myself that space to really just express myself, right, as much as I could, like the whole of me, like all these different facets of me. And I didn't when I began live streaming in the beginning, I didn't do that.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what are some other favorite recipes, and maybe what's something that you've learned to like that maybe you didn't like it originally, but you tried it on your show, or, people requested it or whatever, and then you found out, well, I kind of like this.
I think it was sea urchin, uni. Yeah. Uni. I didn't think that I would like it. I thought that it was going to be something that was going to taste very fishy, like the skin of a raw mackerel, like a sashimi mackerel skin. I thought it was going to taste like that, like just raw and fishy, but it didn't. It tasted really nice, like really buttery. Yeah.
So what is the biggest challenge about cooking on video versus like if you're just cooking and you don't have to worry about a camera or an audience or whatever? Like, how does it make things more challenging when you're trying to do a show and cook at the same time?
Well, for starters, when I'm just cooking without an audience, I don't need to read comments. And I don't need to worry about losing my fingers, right? Like,
right.
I think the challenging part about like cooking and live streaming is being safe, and then at the same time just knowing when to like not look at the screen and when to focus, because a lot of things can go wrong, right? You could accidentally you get the wrong rhythm, and you could accidentally kind of nick yourself, in the finger, or like you could burn yourself while you're cooking something, especially like with Asian cooking as well, like Chinese cooking especially. You have like a hot wok, and everything is flash fry and quick. And if you choose to read a comment at the wrong moment, you could hurt yourself.
Right, right.
I think those are at least those are my challenges. But I thankfully that has probably only happened once or twice in the past 18 months. And the one time was because I dropped something in a pot of hot oil, and the oil kind of splashed back into my eye.
Oh no.
And then the second time was, I've never cut myself on live streaming though. Amazing, right? I've had hundreds and hundreds, touch wood. But yeah, touch wood. but there was that hot oil splashing, and the second one was when I had, I think, I was grilling a steak, and I used a low smoke point oil, and it just kind of like got really smoky in the house, and then the smoke alarms came on.
And you're like, telling her, don't do this at home. Well, we're going to keep going with the show.
So it's just, just those 2 times. But otherwise, it's been okay. It's been, but it takes skills to kind of get it down to
right.
And to also read comments and answer. I think I struggle with like focusing as well, because so many things are happening.
Right.
So I would read like half a sentence of a question and then drop off and like completely forget about it.
I love how you said touch wood. This is so Malaysian of you to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
What's your, we've heard you do British accent, American accent, a variety of different Asian accents. What accent would surprise people that you could do pretty well, that people wouldn't expect to hear from you?
It's so politically incorrect. I can't even try. When I'm on the spot.
It's just you're just amongst friends here.
I think that funnily, I think the most surprising one is the Korean accent, because I'm not Korean, I'm Malaysian and Chinese, and right. when I pull it out, like, I think people go, "Whoa, where did you get that? How did you manage that? Right? How did you learn the Korean accent?" And the reason for that is because I hung out with a lot of Korean people from Korea for 2 years, and I was able to kind of like learn that.
But you don't want to share that right now.
Maybe when I'm cooking, maybe I'm making kimchi.
When you're making Korean food, it's okay. But otherwise, right. It's a little politically incorrect.
Yeah, so I try not to pull it out unless it's appropriate. Like when I'm serving the food, or like I'm celebrating something great about the culture, then that's when I pull it out. So it is a sort of like a very sensitive issue, I guess. Like I said, I've had people come into my broadcast, saying like other people of similar cultural backgrounds who were very offended by what I was doing.
Right.
Yeah. And so I have to kind of like approach this in a very delicate way, and to make sure that there are other things around that I can celebrate before I pull it.
Right. and then when you do pull the accent out, you're thinking about classmates and teachers, relatives, friends. Like, what are there certain inspirations, or you just have it down now to where you don't even have to think about somebody or how they talk or whatever?
I think I do think about the people that, I guess they were my teachers and they weren't aware that they were, because I just kind of learned it out. Yeah, I do think about how people would act, and then I act it out kind of like in my head, or yeah. So like, for example, when I do the Korean thing, it's in direct relation to, I used to date a Korean guy, right? So that while I was dating him, I was a certain way with him because he was a certain way. So I would remember, I guess I would remember how I was, right, at the time, many years ago. And then I guess that it would come out that way. Or like, if I pull up the Japanese accent, it would be just directly related to the dozens and dozens and hundreds of tourists that I've met in Hawaii.
Right.
Or just the tourists that I met when my dad was running his tour company in Malaysia, because we served a lot of Japanese tourists, and just my interaction with people.
Right. Where in Malaysia are you from?
I'm from Malaysian Borneo.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah,
right. You
from
said that
Sabah.
earlier, and I was listening, but I was just testing you to see if you remember.
Yeah. Yeah, East Malaysia. So it's I'm from a small place south of like 2 hours by flight from Manila in the Philippines, because Southeast Asia, they're quite closely the islands at least are quite close together.
Right.
mm.
And have you traveled a lot, like to a lot of the different countries, either in Asia or in Europe or South America or anywhere else that you've been inspired by the food?
Oh
Or the
yeah,
accent.
that is the only reason I travel now, because of food. I am, some people travel for different reasons, right? I mean, people travel to look at scenery. I do too, but predominantly I'm all about going to a country to learn certain cooking skills that I may want to learn. Like right now, I'm looking at potentially visiting Japan so that I can learn something about washoku cooking, right? Traditional Japanese home cooking. So like in my mind, I'm thinking if I want to go to Japan, I want to enroll myself into a cooking course. So it's just right. I travel that way. Or like I would eat like, oh, I want to go and eat at that sushi bar, the Jiro. Everybody keeps talking about this Jiro sushi bar, like at the Tokyo subway. So I travel and then I eat when I travel. I think one of my favorite cities is Madrid, because they just like, I love Spanish food so much. Just the jamon. It's not the healthiest thing, right? Because it's very salty and it's pork fat, right? But it's so good. I love it. Yeah.
So now you probably will understand this question. I don't know if anybody else will, but I'll let you answer it and educate us. Zeph says Sabah or Sarawak?
Oh, Zeph, Sabah. I'm from Sabah.
Oh, it's a place.
Yeah, it's a state.
Oh, okay. Thought it was a couple of different ingredients. Which one do you like that?
Although there is an ingredient called Sarawak black pepper, and that's actually an ingredient. It's just a black pepper from that area.
Do you like spicy food, or do you like mild food?
I love spicy food. Malaysia food is all about spicy food. I grew up around Indian food and Malay food and Indonesian food. So super spicy. I love it.
Right. And what kind of, like when you make your own food, do you make hot food?
I do, but these days my tolerance to spiciness, I think, is not as good as when I was like a lot younger. So these days, they're a lot less spicy than what I used to do. Like before, I would just douse my entire noodle bowl like in half a jar of like jalapeno peppers. But now I can't do that anymore.
And is that in part because you just don't have a lot of spicy food around? Like when you go to a restaurant and you see something's got like the one spice next to it on the menu, you're probably like, nah, that's not even spicy, right?
No, I think, okay, this is going to sound very, very depressing, and I don't really want to get into like, aging, but I do think that as you age, right, your body tends to have less, it tends to be more like, I don't know, more sensitive to the elements, right?
Yeah.
So, your skin gets a little thinner, or like, what you're used to you're doing, which is like, pour lots of chilies into your stomach, right? Maybe you can't really process it as well as you used to. So to me now, like if I eat like a lot of like habanero like peppers or something, I definitely feel it, right? I feel the discomfort long after the meal is done. So I try to avoid that as much as possible now. Yeah. But saying that, I think my level of spicy tolerance, right, would probably be more than yours. Or like
I can guarantee it's more than
more than yours. though, more than more than somebody who didn't grow up or like isn't used to eating like spicy food on an everyday basis. So, but not I don't think I can I don't think I can do like super crazy like Scoville scale up type of spicy anymore. But just now I cook. I add spices to enhance the dishes. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like it's subtle. It's got a bit of like it makes it a little exciting, but not so much that you feel your head's gonna blow up. Because that can happen.
Just enough to make it interesting to eat, right?
Yeah, that can happen. Or like you don't want to feel like you eat things that are so crazy spicy that you need to go to the ER, right? You don't want it to get to that level.
Zeph said, if Jackie says she doesn't like spicy, I would hunt her down. LOL.
I love spicy food. In fact, and the other part of it is also, it's not that I don't like spicy food, is that I think that my body just can't handle as much spiciness as before. So, for example, like if I were to have something like a Thai larb, right, which they like to cut lots of like little tiny bird chilies in them. They really like the Thai chilies. I love that. I would eat that. I'd like totally enjoy the meal, but then later on I would suffer. I'd be like, okay, heartburn, I can't go to bed, and this is hurting a little, right? And so so the whole thing about dining happy is it's like all
yeah.
Yeah.
Sabrina says it's true. Your body processes foods in a different way as you get older, such as dairy and certain spices. Yeah, I don't eat dairy anymore. I haven't eaten dairy in a long time though. I was always sort of allergic to it. So
okay, yeah.
Claudius is such a polite answer to the aging. And Eric says he has a huge food crush right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I guess I still cook a lot of curries. I still eat a lot of spicy food, but it's just not as spicy as it used to be.
You just dial it back a little.
I dial it back a little bit. My husband's always complaining that I dial it back too much because he just
he likes spicy.
It. He's like, I made these veggie patties, these vegan patties. Yesterday it has zucchini, carrots, grated zucchini, grated carrots, and then I spiced it up with a dried chili powder, with turmeric, cumin, and coriander powder, and there's onions in there, and garbanzo flour, right? And then I made these like really nice patties for him, and he's just like, it's not spicy enough, and I'm like, this is plenty spicy. I must have put, I don't know, a teaspoon and a half of the really hot chili pepper.
Right.
Yeah, and he's like, it's not spicy.
Do you have a favorite city in the U.S. Or a favorite cuisine, like regional cuisine in the U.S. that you like when you travel?
The truth is I haven't really seen much of the States.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. I've lived in Hawaii. I've lived in New York. I'm based in Seattle. But everything in between, I don't have much experience. With just like, for example, I've never even gone to Texas to have like Texas barbecue, and everybody talks about that, like, oh man, you don't know barbecue until you go to Texas, right? That's what that is what my husband tells me. You don't know barbecue until you go to Texas.
A lot of regional food is actually like, a lot of food like in New York and on the West Coast is actually what people brought from whatever country their ancestors came from, right? Yeah, I think so. I think right now, if I were to like pick something that I'm really excited about to learn more about is Cajun food, because that's like, interesting to me, because I really, really like fusion cuisine. Like I think it's just something in me. Like I just need it to be mixed. I can't stand if it's like I don't want to just eat Chinese food. I don't want to just eat like regular American food. I don't want just mac and cheese. I want something else in there. Mac and cheese with hot sauce.
Yeah, mac and cheese. Yeah. So So to me, like Cajun food is exciting to me because there's French influences, there's American influences, there's the Creole thing, right? So I like that, and also like I'm really interested in South American fusion cuisine, like the Japanese Peruvian food, right? Yeah, it's just I like that sort of stuff. Japanese Peruvian food, or I think that they have the Chinese the Chinese Peruvian food, which they call chifa. That's something that's quite interesting to me because I want to know, right, what that tastes like, because I'm an overseas Chinese. Like, I've never been to China.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up on a tropical island, and my first language is English. So to me, I am Chinese, but then culturally, I'm not like mainland Chinese, or I'm like I like coconuts and papayas in my food, right? So this is something that's very different, from like the way people experience mainland Chinese food. So, and I like curry, and I like spices that are, very exotic. And even the seafood that we get in Southeast Asia is very different from the seafood that they get like in mainland Asia. Right. So that's what excites me. Just different kinds of like fusion cuisines. Like even coming out of Malaysia, there's just so many things that I love, and I wish I could just share all this with the world. And I guess that's what I'm doing, right, on Periscope. But just things like something as simple as the Malaysian curry puff, which in essence is a hot pocket, right? That is, it's a hot pocket that has like curry chicken or beef curry or chicken curry in the filling, but it's wrapped in a pastry that is very English. It's like a pasty basically. So it's like these little kind of like pasty things with curry filling inside, and it's a very Malaysian snack, and but also it's got all these different influences. I also like I'm also looking into like the other types of food, like Dutch Indonesian food, or the other one is they call it the Kristang cuisine, coming out from the Malacca, which is a mixture of Portuguese and Malaysian. It's a Portuguese Malaysian fusion cuisine. So yeah, so that those are the things that excite me. Just these sort of like different types of I love tasting something that comes out something new all the time, right? So that's what that's what like keeps me going, really.
I'm really hungry now. So. We're going to have to wrap it up so I can get dinner. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on, Jackie. I love what you do. I love your show, and so glad that you were able to join us on Livestream Stars. The website is dininghappy.com. Go to dininghappy.com/members. Join her email list, and also at Dining Happy across social media. And you can find her particularly on Periscope, where she is a super popular and funny host and makes some good food as well. Jackie Miao, thank you so much for joining us. What do you have coming up next?
I think I'm going to figure out what I'm going to make for dinner tonight.
Yeah. Dinner is next for you too.
Yeah. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody. I just want to say that I think I miss a lot of comments and questions, and yeah, it's kind of when I'm in the middle of like answering something, it's kind of hard to like also like like catch the comments. But I'm really glad that you catch the show, and yeah, Ross, thank you so much for doing this. This has been amazing. Yeah, so this is the last show before your break in summer.
Yeah, I'm going to take a break for the summer from Livestream Stars. So we did I think we did about 25 shows since January. So I'm going to take a break for a little bit.
That's good.
So
Yeah.
thanks, everybody. I will catch you on other people's live streams, or maybe doing a solo stream walking down the street or something new. But we'll be back with more shows definitely as the year goes along. So have a great night, everybody.
Bye.